and welcome back to the beauty-related side of my channel. And welcome to what may or may not be the long-awaited, it has been a fairly extended period of time since I've done my last anti-haul. That one was sort of like a recap of all the stuff that had been released and teased or whatever while I was outside of the beauty sphere. So that one was pretty fairly all-encompassing, as well as having a fair amount of older makeup releases. I am not as in as I used to be in the whole beauty verse going on, so I'm not doing anti-hauls like every other week like I used to. I also have found that there has been a slight slow to the roll of products being released, although that is kind of a as we will find in this. Actually, this is an anti-haul. This is going to be a will I buy it? But we're going to see a increase, a little bit of that choo-choo capitalism train going on in this whole thing as we enter into holiday already. But this one is going to be a little bit more up to date. We're going to have some, like I said, this is going to be a will I buy it? Not so much of an anti-haul, although we have a lot to go through. I've been wanting to film for a while and I hadn't really been feeling my best, so I'd kind of been putting it off and just adding more and more to the list as stuff continued to come out and get teased. And as y'all would probably already know, I do have some fairly passionate opinions concerning a wide variety of these products on this page. Hence why I took the time and the energy to write them down so that I could all tear the majority of them a new one for y'all. My duty is but to serve you. And as I always say with these type of videos, this is going to be me talking about my opinions, discussing my thoughts on these products. If these are items that you have purchased, that you love, that you plan on purchasing, or any and all of the above, then that is absolutely fan-tucking-fastic. You keep doing you, boo-boo. Because believe me, if there's anyone who shouldn't judge, it is me. I have purchased and will continue to purchase the majority of frivolous makeup, things that just make my little heart go pity-pat. Such is the way of understanding and realizing that I am in fact a consumer. But as a consumer, I also reserve my right to roast the ever-loving shiz out of some of these, because some of this stuff I'm like, yes, F me up. I'm so ready for all of this to be all over my face. And then there's a lot of it where I'm just like, you're the reason that I dropped out of the beauty sphere in the first place. Like, you are my 13th reason when it comes to makeup. But as I said, we've got a lot here. Might as well just get going. And we'll get going on with, this is a will I buy it? So this is a no, I'm not gonna buy it, but boy, if I had money to burn, if I was part of some sort of 1%, I would be unloading money on these products. And the first of which being the Charlotte Tilbury, which is a brand I think I have like one foundation from her. I think I tried a whole bunch of foundations from her and none of them did anything for my complexion, my skin type. They're all a little bit full coverage, all a bit more glam than I typically go for when it comes to a foundation. But this is the Pillow Talk face palette, and I mean, I don't care who you are looking at this is aesthetically pleasing. To someone who couldn't care less about Charlotte Tilbury, I know when they have the Sephora sale, everyone's like, I got these lip liners and the Pillow Talk and the lipsticks and the whatever, and I'm like, I could not care less. It does abs. I remember when her little swirl pop titty whatever going on blush, I remember I wanted one of those, but they were like, gosh, were they like 50? They were expensive blushes. Not that I haven't purchased ridiculously overpriced blush or highlighter, but still, looking at this is one of the first Charlotte Tilbury products that if I were to just go by picture, I would be like, just sign me up. I want that. It is a blush palette slash highlight palette that I do not need, but I simply had to put it up here as a will I buy it? Would I like to? Had I unending income? Yes. I'm not entirely sure as to Charlotte Tilbury's cruelty-free. If I bought the foundation, then she better be cruelty-free. But I mean, just it is all things beautiful. I am living for that rosy, storybook, ethereal, sleeping beauty complexion that we've got going on right now. Put some of that on the nose, all up in the temples, under the eyelids, everywhere. Make me rosy, flushed, and kissed, and beautiful. But also, Charlotte Tilbury is very disgustingly expensive, so this palette is probably going to be on the farther end of $60. Which is on a farther end of what I like to pay for when it comes to a blush product, especially a blush palette with blushes I don't need from a brand I don't really buy from. And then if we're talking about brands that I don't buy products from or buy anything from, I'm pretty sure they're not cruelty-free, but Gucci, which, again, I could not care less. I do not need this 1% fashion brand making makeup and selling it to me thinking that it's all kinds of something something. But regardless of that, they're like, we're going to release these little, beautiful, gorgeous, I mean, just, obviously they're selling me blush, but whoever decided to concoct this sort of thing was like, all right, Soraya, that is something you want. It looks so beautiful. I think they're like $59. They're like available on Sephora right now. They're just these single little Gucci you're going to buy because you're going to purchase to have the luxury of having a Gucci product, kind of like the Christian Louboutin thing, that whole thing. It's like, I'm going to pay $90 to have a crappy lipstick that's put into a thing because it's got red bottom something something on it. But irregardless, I must admit, this at least looks like a product that like was thought put into. I can't tell you how many of those like luxury designer products that just look like crap. They're like, this is $180. It's the cheapest, lamest, nastiest plastic ever. And I'm like, really? YSL, I feel, has been, YSL does that a lot. They do a lot of, oh, what was that Gucci floor something? I saw a dude on TikTok and he's like, this is a $139 palette. It was like cheap and plastic. These at least look a little bit slightly above cheap and plastic. They look really, really pretty. And a part of me was just like, oh, I too would like a little touch of high-end luxury blush, but really I would not, because $59 for a Gucci blush just is not happening. Okay, and then we have a kind of like maybe possibly more potentially happening, but probably not. I would like to. And this is the new. Preface this with all with new, because new is relative to when I wrote it down, to when I'm filming this, to when I'm editing it, to when it actually uploads. I'm constantly breaking the fourth wall within my own videos. My YouTube page is not linear. But the Natasha Denona My Dream collection, which is this beautiful rosy palette that's got probably 3, 4, or 5 too many shimmers than what I would actually like in an eyeshadow palette. And then a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous cream powder highlight face palette with highlighter and blush that I don't need. But I like to tell myself that I do need, that I will use, because I will say that if I'm going to do cream products, it's going to be the Natasha Denona face palette cream product formula. Which I would hope this would be. I did get burned by the bronze collection. That was all kinds of out in left field. I'm not sure what she was trying to do with it, but it was not a hit. Did I just look at it and I'm like, that would make a pretty review, but is it pretty enough for a review? Like, what do y'all think? Is that a product that y'all would be interested in hearing my thoughts on? Because as y'all know, with the low buy, I'm trying to be exceptionally selective about what I purchase and bring into this stratosphere here, because we've got enough makeup to make our own galaxy, solar system, everything. Okay, enough with the fluff and being all like, oh, this looks nice, this looks nice. Let's get into some things that do not make me happy, that do not bring me joy, that do not make my little makeup-loving heart go pity-pat. In the forefront, we have a failing makeup star at Urban Decay, doing a collaboration which honestly feels very in line in kind of the Urban Decay snooze fest mainstream collaboration thing that they've got going on. They kind of get a collaboration. You're like, yeah, okay, all right, that makes sense. That's a mainstream. It's not like, ooh, this is really cool mixed with this. It's like, no, okay, that's a movie that's coming out and they're pairing it with Urban Decay. Okay. And that's the plus Marvel She-Hulk, which I'm just like, all right, y'all know, I'm not even going to discuss or talk about or whine about how much more green I think there should be in this thing. I mean, I mean, if the inspiration is there, we might as well do it, but the inspiration is not here. We're taking this, we're putting a little bit of green in there to be like, there's a little bit of Hulk, there's a little bit of something, there's a little bit of something to tie us into the movie that we're procking on to make this collection. And then we're gonna go and send the dude into the back of the warehouse and bring out whatever we haven't used in the last 15 years of collaborations and put it in this palette and sell it. That is, we are tired, we are exhausted, we have been tired for years. At this point, with each palette we are releasing, we are continuing to put nails into the coffin of our reputation and sustainability within the current beauty community climate. I mean, I understand I can be mean, I can be rude, I can be sassy. This is my opinion. Obviously, not everyone wants to look like this. Makeup experiences and desires and expectations are relative, but who is buying this? Of y'all, I would love to know who is buying Urban Decay, who is saying that Urban Decay is a continuously up and coming fresh and funky brand on the market with this amazing, remarkable She-Hulk palette that has a touch of green and then a whole bunch of rejects. But obviously, if you are, that is fantastic, and you keep doing you. Alright, I think I have another, do we have another Urban Decay one? Yes, yes! This one, I hate. There's just so many things where I'm scrolling through. I love it. It's taken me years to reach this level of woke within myself and what I like within makeup, and even then I still get got and bamboozled and schnookered into things. It's marketing, it's a thing, it's psychological manipulation and warfare. But also so many of the things I was able to scroll through and go, I hate it. I hate it. Thanks, but I hate it. The Urban Decay Naked Wild West Mini, which somehow they were able to take the Naked Wild West, which arguably in and of itself wasn't necessarily a bad palette. Yes, am I tired of Urban Decay slapping naked on every single kind of concept and not seeing it through to the end? Because they could have gone a whole Naked Wild West and given us a whole space cowboy whatever thing, procking off of like the edgier days of Urban Decay, and instead they gave us this, and then they're like, alright, the people wanted that, which we really didn't. I guess we're gonna have to give them a nice smaller pared down version, which is just, they're just shooting blanks at this point. They're just putting stuff out, hoping something sticks. They're just like, alright, Naked Wild West, well, alright, we can't go bigger. Alright, Naked Wild West Mini! And are they literally expecting us to be standing outside and applauding this foolery? I mean, naked, and it's in this awful, it's not even like, I'm portable. It's in this awful, obnoxiously weird looking eyeshadow palette formula. I mean, they're just out here creating this stuff with no one to tell them no one in their corner being like, you know that thing that you're thinking about doing? No, maybe not. Maybe we should take that and put it on the back burner, or put it in the garbage disposal of makeup ideas that shouldn't actually come to fruition, because that whole Naked Wild West Mini nonsense just isn't a thing. We have a theme here that kind of goes on into that Natasha Denona one. This is blush palettes, face palettes that I don't need with products in it that I'm not going to use. But the Artist Couture Love Sprung face palette, I mean, how absolutely beautiful, like 2016 is this. I absolutely love it. It's bright, it's fresh, it's gorgeous. I'm pretty sure Artist Couture has released a couple different face palettes that I've been like, never tried anything from your brand, but it's cute, it's pretty. Y'all have released a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I've had no interest in, and no fault to all your own. But I just look at that one and I see that like slightly peachy, salmony, summery, nice, beautiful casing, and I'm like, ooh, there's a corally, there's a something shimmy shiny, and then there's that highlighter in there, and I'm like, that's awfully pretty. That's awfully 2016. I mean, we are kind of pulling, bringing the clock back with a lot of these products that we're releasing. And speaking of, you know, pulling the clock way back, desperately trying to reconstruct itself with billions of dollars worth of brand plastic surgery, is TwoFace, who apparently the Jared Blandino and whoever was the other person in charge of that were like, goodbye. It's become a sinking ship We literally shot holes into our ship and now we're abandoning it. Gonna sell it for however many million, billion, something, something. I thought I already did that to Estee Lauder. But anyway, with new ownership then comes rebranding, or as I like to say, an attempt to save the company's image, an attempt to try to reinvent itself while still establishing as that tried and true brand we all know and love with the Better Than Chocolate collection slash rebrand. It's a rehashed, I don't even know if it's the same something something chocolate bar palette. I'm not gonna buy it. I had all three of the chocolate bar palettes. I don't have any of them anymore. It's got a bunch of, they've got like a concealer, and then we've got the bronzers, and basically it's just a whole new redo of products that they already have, mixed with a little bit of like interpretive versions of products that they had to be like, we're new, but we're the same, but we're new and fresh, but we're also not that different from what we were. Like, they're trying to set themselves apart by establishing themselves as basically the same thing as they were. A lot of redundant turnover in my mind. Not that I'm any kind of brand ambassador, let me do your rebrand. But I mean, I feel at this point, I mean, it is a absolute Jesus take the wheel with this company, because if we're talking about Too Faced, we've got the rebrand, right? And then we've got, I will date myself in this. It is early September when I'm filming this. And already we are getting teased and released. Physically released. Able to purchase in September. Some of this stuff teased and released in August. Holiday, Christmas, jingle bells. I ain't even seen I'm in Virginia. We are in the 80s. I ain't seen a single leaf fall on that ground outside, and I don't want to be seeing no gingerbread chocolate chip cookie reindeer fondue snowman Santa Sleighland. I don't want to see it. I don't want it shilled to me. I don't want it whatever. I'm sick and tired. It's the same thing. I love Halloween, but oh my stars, this year we started in June. And as much as I love that, that's a little bit too much of it. And then we're just, all right, we're schwitzing everything. It's just one big, giant, consumeristic, capitalistic push. I understand that we all love it, but can we like calm down just for a moment? But apparently we can't, because Too Faced has got all this sort of nonsense. I mean, this is just, it was like, what, like 8 years ago when we decided that these palettes were crap? We're like, okay, all right. We're like, ooh, the end holiday Too Faced whatever palettes for $80, but you're getting $3,000 worth of product. It's everyone has to have it. It's the end all be all quality and everything. And now we're like, nope. Every year they're terrible. They started going down. We're like, this one's good. You know, they never quite got it good since like, 2014. And then we just kept going down. And we're still creating the same repetitive, crappy. I mean, basically what they do is, again, they send someone out into the back and they say, all right, Phil, we need you to go into the back and we need you to get all of the rejects, and we're going to dump them into some cutesy little kawaii desu desu gummy bear frosted snowland reindeer desu desu cookie, and put it in packaging like that and sell it, and it's a holiday special. All they're doing is putting crappy eyeshadows in a non-curated basic color story with inferior quality control into pieces of decorated cardboard. That's where we're at. I used to care. I used to care about what the theme was, and then when we got to, you remember that one where it was like planner, journaling, holiday, yay! And I was like, I'm done. I don't care. Oh, I'm done. It's like, you're done. You're done. You know, take away the eggnog, Too Faced. I need you to go sit and think. And then, of course, we have the Too Faced pumpkin spice second slice. At what point is it going to be? It's going to be Too Faced pumpkin spice, the whole pie. Too Faced pumpkin spice 12-course meal. Here's the turkey palette, mashed potatoes, corn, green beans. You know, it's going to be a whole thing. I would honestly love it if they were going to be like Thanksgiving holiday buffet, and we had like a beige eyeshadow that was like dry turkey, and then we had, the cranberries. I could get behind that. If they want to take it, go balls to the wall with it and really commit and give me a terrible, awful, kitschy Christmas whatever palette. But no, they want to think that they're being all kinds of cute and all like, pumpkin spice. I mean, we had the gingerbread, and then the second gingerbread, and then we probably had a gingerbread and a half palette, and then we got, didn't we? We had some other kind of pumpkin spice palette that was like available over there, and then they were like, okay, I guess we'll give you a pumpkin spice palette here where everyone can get it, and now we're giving you a second slice palette that looks a hair, a fraction, maybe mess with the saturation and contrast a little bit on the palette, and that'll make it a different palette and color scheme. But in reality, it's not. Too Faced, I don't think, has come out with a new eyeshadow shade that they've released in the last at least 10 years. They just keep all of them on a roulette in the back, and they're like, all right, well, what are we going to do this year for holiday? Let's spin the wheel. Okay, all right, pumpkin spice, add that eyeshadow, second slice. There we go. It's different enough. We'll sell it. Send it out. And then, again, some of this is just, again, I apologize for people if this is y'all's thing and this is your end-all be-all, but for me and what I know with my makeup now, I look at some of this and I'm like, are you tired? Do you need a nap? Do you need, like, something? And the Tarte Man-Eater After Dark. Now, I admit, I have a couple Tarte palettes that I like and I enjoy, but looking at this, I mean, I think back to when I was like, if it came out, I had to buy it. And I'm like, if this had been released, oh my goodness, how many years ago, and I would have been like, this is amazing. This is the Tarte holiday palette, and obviously I need it. Well, I don't know if it's the holiday palette. It's just a big, giant palette by Tarte, and I'm just like, okay, all right. Man-Eater After Dark doesn't really look very man-eatery after dark. Just kind of looks like a bunch of Tarte eyeshadows. Looks like they took a bunch of the eyeshadows they already had, shook them out, and kind of made a new arrangement with eyeshadows that already exist within other palettes that have been created. It's bringing a whole new meaning to the whole reduce, reuse, recycle, because they keep reusing the same shades out of their palettes over and over and over again, attempting to make new products. We might as well talk about some more holiday, then maybe we'll talk about some positive things. But Hourglass, again, we're kind of just beating a dead horse. We release the same things every holiday over and over again. Hourglass, for I don't know how many years now, is coming out. It looks like they've got 3 different ones this year. One $80 palette wasn't enough every year. We had to come out with 3 different $80 palettes. And I tell you, every year they come out with one. I'm like, this is the year. This is the year I'm gonna get one, and I never do. I understand there are some people that swear by these. I have some Hourglass products that I like, but Hourglass is one of those brands that I feel I was forcing myself to really enjoy and love, because it was like a cult. It was like Hourglass and the fucking cover effects and everything like that. And there were these brands that you like had to love and had to enjoy. I had the Ambient Trio Lighting Palette. I've got the blushes. I've got some of the highlighters, and it's all just sort of okay. And that's for me how I like to do my makeup. I admit, looking at these blush palettes, they are beautiful. If there's anything Hourglass knows how to do, it's curate a nice look and layout, and they could keep using the same shades every year like they do, and every year it's still, oh, that one's pretty. So this is one of those things that I understand this is a lot of people's absolute end-all be-all, and they live for this. That's great. We all live for different things, different aspects, but I look at it and I'm like, $80 blush palette. $80 blush palette. I am not in love enough with Hourglass as a company, as a concept, as a product, as a formulation. If someone were to be like, here's an $80 blush palette by Hourglass that I bought you, I'd be like, woo, F me up, put that all over my face. But I am not going to be giving Hourglass $80 for one of these holidays. It's one of those things where it's like, it used to be like, ooh, get it now, where they're going to release another one next year. If you don't get it next year, they're going to release another one. This year they released 3, I think. And if they're trying to make an attempt to have a broad level of inclusivity, I slightly applaud them for that. Though I know that Hourglass is not typically very good at having a wide range of depth within their products. We've got Hoola, holiday benefit, holiday stuff. we're gonna have stocking stuffers, and we're gonna have the same 3 blushes re-released in little mini palette, re-released in little minis, and then we're gonna have little teeny tiny, they're real mascaras, and all kinds of little Benefit Benny Brow, and all these little advent calendars. There is nothing more that I hate than makeup, and honestly just consumerism on a whole. During the holidays, it makes me sick. If I see one more little mini ornament that's all like, oh, here's a mini mascara, and here's this and this and this, I will throw up. I do not care. I hate it. I'm like, just give me straight for it. I don't want to see the frills. I don't want the whatever. I will buy the eyeliner for someone. I'll throw it into a little bag and give it to them myself. I don't need it. And speaking of I don't need it, if there were ever a product that was released that said it is made for someone who is in a different tax bracket than me, that is the Tatcha body line. And I will preface this with saying, I have 2 Tatcha products that I love and I live for. The Rice Enzyme Foaming Whatever in Deep and the Dewy Skin Cream, 2 of my end-all be-all favorite skincare things. But that is my face. And that is a very concentrated amount of skin to be dealing with. And then you want me to buy Tatcha products for everything? Like, I mean, there is no amount. I'm imagining, like, how much you're going to get for how much they're gonna charge. If you're thinking Tatcha, like how much you pay for ounce, I'm like, that body care whatever products had better be the best thing that ever graced this body. I mean, I'll never know because I am not paying Tatcha whatever. I'm gonna have $2 body wash from Walmart, thank you very much. That is a luxury that I'm not feeling the need for. Tatcha, and everyone's like, ooh, this is so many comments. It was so funny. They're like, nope, not my price point, not my price point. Not. I'm like, who is sitting here thinking, you know, I wish that an overpriced, expensive, bougie skincare brand would come out with really overpriced body care products for me. You know, just, I'd really like to wash away some money. I'm like, I can't imagine. If it's amazing, if one of y'all have this or have you bought it and it's let me know. I would love to know what this is. But looking at it, it's just like, everyone's like, ooh, it's the Tatcha's body line. And I'm like, nope. No, there's no amount of, like, how, I would be like, okay, let's use this much. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm very overzealous in the amount of product I use. I'm like, I am not going to be getting my money's worth out of that Tatcha foaming body gel cleansers. It doesn't sit right with me, and it does not make me happy. Oh, this one makes me so happy because this is a brand, Besame, which, for any of y'all who don't know, one of my absolute favorite palettes of all time is the Besame X Sleeping Beauty palette. My favorite eyeshadow and one of my favorite face palettes. They're just really, really good. And obviously that was a collaboration palette, and they're like, ooh, more Besame. And it's Disney villains, and it's okay. I mean, when Besame goes hard, like it did with the Sleeping Beauty one, the aesthetic was there, the quality, the color story. If I can remember, I will leave that link down below. I love that whole collection. And then they're kind of like, oh, well, here's 3 nail polishes, I think. Here's a smallish eyeshadow palette and a Ursula locket that's gonna have something in it. Probably a refillable powder, because Besame typically is a very practical, straightforward, bread and butter type makeup. You know, they got the mascara and the lipstick. They're not doing a lot of fantastical things. And I was just like, of all the things we could have done, I would have loved to have seen, I don't know, something that was a little bit more curated, a little less just sort of, here's a collaboration grab. Because they did a collaboration with I Love Lucy that I was not interested in at all, because I'm not a red lipstick person. I'm not a huge I Love Lucy person, but it fit the brand to a T. It was absolutely perfect. Whereas this is just kind of like, okay, we're collaborating Disney villains. I feel the same way about this as I do as the ColourPop Disney villains. It was just sort of a thing where you're like, okay, alright, it doesn't feel very exceptionally thought out, or I just look at it and it seems just kind of like a rushed, alright, here's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and go. And I'm not interested in it. It's just another sort of blip capitalist intellectual property money grab, which is a majority of a lot of things that I've seen. There have been so many pointless collaborations. It's just like Marvel this and Friends this and Clueless this and Powerpuff that, and it's just like anyone and everyone just mass releasing all of these intellectual property releases and all of these trademark things. It's just, and none of it makes, just all these mussed together colors thrown together, and we're like, oh look, it's this nostalgic thing, buy it. Okay, have we got some things? Okay, let's see. Oh, never mind, let's talk about this one. This one makes me sad. This is like the ending of an era. I don't know if I've made the video yet, but I have made the decision on my channel. I am not talking about, I am no longer reviewing Jeffree Star products on my channel. It's just not a thing. I don't know if it's up or if it's going to be up later. I'm going to be doing alternatives to Jeffree Star palettes, and then I'm going to talk about him on anti-hauls, I suppose. And the one palette is the Star Wedding Collection. We're going to be talking about the palette, which I feel like for the longest time I advocated for this man and his ability to curate cutting-edge, amazing, monochromatic color stories, and I feel like he's losing his steam a little bit. We had that banana fetish travesty. I mean, Orgy wasn't too amazing. He's had, oh, the Beauty Killer 2. Like, he started kind of losing grip on the makeup industry that he once had. He had everybody by the throat, and now he's like, come on, come on. And this palette, it's, I look at it and it's a palette. I mean, I used to see his color stories, and maybe it's all bias and whatever, now that I'm disenchanted by it so much now. But looking at it, it's not, for whatever reason, it doesn't scream as like inventive as Blood Sugar did, or as Blood Money, or Blue Blood, or even, you know, a majority of the other ones, Alien and stuff. This one's just kind of like, okay, got neutrals, it's kind of got a lot of all the basic same shades and tones to it, and then we're going to go down this way and we're going to deepen it up because we're going to have to smoke it out, and if people want to have dramatic wedding looks, and it's just, it's a palette that I look at, and I'm just, if it were released by any other person, or if it were released by him, I'm not lacking. It doesn't have anything in it that makes me think, I don't have that in my collection, or makes me think, that would be one that I would get a lot of use out. It's just sort of there. His brand, I feel, has become a little bit more underwhelming in recent, I don't want to say years, but in the recent past couple of however many releases he's done. For a while there, he was really good at not releasing a large amount of palettes, and he's still nowhere near as much as like ColourPop churning stuff out. But at the same time, when you reach a certain amount and you just keep pushing forward, it's like, we're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel on things. And it's just, irregardless of if it were Jeffree Star or someone else, just doesn't really do it for me. As a palette, it's got some of those pretty rosy and those deep, deep, dark, tempting tones. But on a whole, again, I just look at this and I'm like, I am good on so many different levels. And then I want to talk about one that's got a whole lot of issues in and of to itself. ColourPop, which, surprisingly, well, with ColourPop, it's like the majority of stuff they release, I'm like, I'm good. And it has to be something striking for me to be like, I actually want to talk about that thing that they released that I think is stupid, because the majority of what they release is stupid. And this is the ColourPop Harry Potter collection. Now, aside from the fact that when it comes to Harry Potter, my aesthetic is, I prefer the dark academia side of things. This is more like just kind of a straightforward, I feel like years 1 through 3 Harry Potter collection sort of thing. You know, we've got the houses and the very straightforward color coding, and it's very bright, and it's very, like, I feel, beginning era Harry Potter. Now, aside from the fact that the majority of this collection aesthetically doesn't do it for me, the eyeshadow palette doesn't really do it for me. I don't need any more highlighters or any more blush, or I don't even know if there's anything like that. But we also have the problematic issue elephant in the room that is said creator of Harry Potter, who we butt heads on some pretty significant moral and ethic grounds, and I am very much of the not supporting that. So we do have that kind of into. Obviously, do whatever you want with your own freaking money. This is just me, my platform, talking about my own personal opinions and beliefs and whatevers. Irregardless of what this collection looks like and whether it's aesthetically pleasing to me or not, it is something that I am not intending to support and putting my money in. Same with that new game that came out. I feel like there needs to be a good amount of discourse in discussing a healthy level of artist and creation separation. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into that other than just being like, oh, I'm not gonna buy your products and whatever, because it's difficult between royalties and whatevers, and what are they making money off of, what are we supporting. But I feel like there needs to be a discourse created about this, the two clashing things of J.K. Rowling versus the universe that she's created and is loved by so many people, while she is an actively destructive, discriminatory, awful human being, to put it lightly. So obviously, do what you will with whatever, this collection aesthetically, whatever, but I'm having to kind of do a pullback and evaluation and think about the way I want to move forward with things. I know it's difficult to be hard and cement on one thing and not be cement about everything. I used to, when people were always like, Jeffree Star is the Antichrist. I mean, if we're gonna, Jeffrey Bezos is the Antichrist. Let's get it real. Let's not get it twisted. But when people used to come at me about, you know, why are you supporting Jeffree Star? I used to combat with the whole, like, I'm like, well, do you drink Nestle water? Do you buy Nestle products? Because the Nestle is evil. Do you shop at Walmart? Because, you know, if you look at a lot of things, it's very difficult to be super cut and dry on one thing while also being able to do it about everything involved in your life, because there are so many different levels going into the products and the things that we have every day by day, and the creators and the history and everything involving said company. It is very difficult to be a morally responsible consumer in the world that we live in right now and be aware of all of the sordid details. But I didn't mean it to go down sort of that, oh, no, we're not finished. I got one more. Okay, I'm going through trend mood and I'm minding my own business, and I see one of the most beautiful things pop up. It's this beautiful, brightly colored enamel and candy colored and cupcake and whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's so pretty. What is it? It's a perfume that I'm never gonna buy because I don't really do perfume. Not only that, this is a $400 perfume, and they're just like, look at this cute little cupcake. I mean, if it is a product, I understand that I live out of a tax bracket, demographic, whatever, of other people. But, like, if this is something that is created for and marketed toward the 1%, I don't want to see it. I don't need to be buying no $400 perfume bottles. And I understand. I try to say this with everything. I have purchased, you know, $400 Sailor Moon dolls, you know. Spend your money how you want, but I'm just like scrolling through Trend Mood and Mega. I don't need $400 cupcake perfume. Is it just me? Does that seem weird? I mean, everything is weird. When it comes to purchasing things, it's the whole something is only worth as much as someone is willing to pay for it. And clearly, if they're making $400 perfume bottles, I was on a TikTok video and this bougie one lady, she was like, oh, this is my perfume, but I won't tell you what it is. And then some super secret knowledge diving perfume person is like, actually what she has is a fancy ooh woo 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 girlam blah 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 that probably cost $12 billion quadrillion, and us peasants wouldn't even know what it smelled like. I have a very interesting relationship with like my love of certain things, luxury and fancy, and then my absolute distaste and disgust for the rich. Like, there's a part of me that's like, I love Vivienne Westwood, and then there's the part of me that's like, burn everything down, destroy the rich, destroy the runways, you know? It's a complicated relationship. But long story short, I don't need no $400. I mean, it's, I don't know. I looked at it and I must have been in some kind of mood because I was like, that cupcake offends me. So on that note, we're gonna end this wonderful Will I Buy It? I would love to hear about the products that I talked about. Do you have it? Do you hate it? Do you love it? Are you gonna buy it? We all have different expectations and desires and interests. I say this every single freaking time. Open a discourse. We like what we like. Don't need to be, well, I'm rude about it all the time. I'm like, Tom Ford. Although I have had a lot of you being like, Tom Ford blushes of the shiz. And I'm like, I'm so happy for you. They will never touch my face because I despise him as a human being, as a physical entity taking up space. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. And as always, keep it real. Mwah.